Hi, I'm going to make a quick video just to elaborate, explain how to go about doing your questions. Your question states that the product of two positive consecutive integers is 72. Find the integers. So we understand that two consecutive integers are two numbers, one after the other, like 1 and 2. Right here, like you stated, it's 35, 36. That is consecutive integers. So if I have to solve this problem, this is how I'll go about it. So my first value, since we don't even know what the number is, but we know that the product has to be 72. So it means we have to get two variables. For me, my first variable that I'll put will be an x. So x will be my first variable. The second number will be x plus 1. The reason being is if two integers, if they are like consecutive, for example, if I have 8, my next number will be 8 plus 1, which will give me 9. If I have 35, my next number will be 35 plus 1, which will give me 36. That's the reason why I have x plus 1. Hope this makes sense. Now, what I'll do is, okay, I have my x, and then I have my x plus 1. So I'll combine these two values together into x multiplied by x plus 1. And then once I combine these two, then I just distribute. X multiplied by x will give me x squared, and then x multiplied by 1, which will give me 1x, equals to 72 right there. And then what I'll do, I'll make a quadratic equation. This is a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c. This will make it easier for me to solve for the value of x. So what I'll do, I'll bring the 72 onto the left. So I'll be left with 0. So I'll have x squared plus 1x minus 72, which will give me 0. And then now I need to factor out the x value out of this quadratic equation. So what I did was I bring the 72 out right here, and then I make a multiples of 72. What two numbers, when I multiply together, gives me a negative 72, but when I add them, it gives me a positive 1. So I start with 72, negative 72 times 1, which will give me a negative 72, but when I add them, it gives me a negative 71, which doesn't come close. So this one doesn't work. And then I go on. I'm like, okay, let me see. A 9 and 8 gives me 72, but I need a negative, so negative 9 times 8 gives me a negative 72, but when I add them, it gives me a negative 1. So this one doesn't work. So what I did, the same number, but I changed the sign. From negative 9, I make negative 8, and negative and 9 becomes positive. So 9 multiplied by negative 8 gives me a negative 72, and 9 plus a negative 8, it gives me a positive 1. So they work. So now I have a positive, so I have x plus 9, and then I have x minus 8. So what I need to do is just solve for x on these two, in these two factored forms. So I have x plus 9 equals 0, and then x minus 8 equals to 0. And then to solve for the first one, to solve for x, since it's a positive 9, it becomes a negative 9, because I take the 9 on the other side, it becomes a negative 9. And for this x minus 8, when I take the 8 to the other side, it becomes a positive, so I have a positive 8. So these are my two numbers, but are they consecutive? They could be if there wasn't a negative present in front of a negative 9. So now what I'll do is, okay, I'll go back to my original variable that I started with, which is x, and x plus 1 is my second value, right? So this is my first, and this should be my second. So if I start with if I make x, this x, a negative 9, so if x is negative 9, my second value should be negative 9 plus 1, which will give me and negative 8. So negative 9 times negative 8, it still gives me a positive 72, because negative negative becomes a positive. So this is correct, negative 9, negative 8. And the other one is, if I take the positive 8 and then I make x as 8, and the other value is 8 plus 1, which will give me a 9. Once again, 9 times 8 gives me 72. So which means you have two consecutive values that you can choose from in order to solve that problem. I hope this helps, and have a great day.